All right, so compass directions. We're gonna talk about that a little bit. Um, you're gonna see from time to time questions that say that a ship starts sailing and it's headed in the direction north 20 degrees east or west or whatever, and you might think like, what's going on here? How can I draw this? If you pay close attention to the wording of the problem and you just follow the steps that I'm showing you today, it's actually not that bad. But you're gonna have to practice these, okay? So I think before I start, I haven't done this before, so I'm gonna give you an illustration here. That's why I tried my camera earlier. I just want to have it on the. Let me see here. There you go. You mean you don't want to watch the video upside down? Okay. Okay. Let's see if this stays on there. So imagine you have your compass rose. Okay. So this. Oh, get rid of that there. So this follows you, right? Everywhere you go on this planet, right? You know that there's a northwest, east, south. It doesn't change, does it? It doesn't matter where you are, that's what it is. So that's kind of like the way I want you to think of these problems. So let's say you're starting somewhere up here, like this is your physical location on this map, and you're told that you're gonna travel, let's go southeast. So you're gonna travel in this direction, okay? And you stop there, and then for whatever reason you turn and you head in a different direction from that point. What I want you to think of is that this followed you along this path up until the point where you decide to make a turn. You could go in any direction you want, right? So from there, I would say, okay, now you're going to get new compass directions. Where did I get that line earlier? I like that line. There it is. So let's say you're traveling. You could be traveling this way, or you could be traveling this way. It doesn't matter. But at some point, you're going to stop again, right? And this compass rose follows you along that trip, okay? So now you technically have a triangle. You see the triangle? Yeah, there's a triangle formed. So I could ask you, hey, what's the distance? No. Come on, I just want the line. This one here. What's the distance from there to where you started, right? So you should see a triangle here. And every time you're given a compass direction, you're going to have to put an angle in here somewhere, okay? And those angles are the ones that we're going to talk about today, where to put them. Very important that you don't just assume they go somewhere. You have to know exactly, does it go here, does it go here, does it go there, or here, right? So you have certain places to put it. But what I want you to make sure is that the compass rose always follows you everywhere. Okay? And we're going back to chapter 2, geometry. Is the east-west line parallel to this east-west line? Would you say that they're parallel? Technically, yes. It doesn't matter where you go. East-west is always going the same direction. Okay? Think of that. East-west is always going parallel. So technically, this line is parallel to that line, which is also parallel to this line. Okay? The north-south is parallel to this north-south, which is parallel to this north-south line. So keep that in mind as we're doing what we're doing. Okay? So there's going to be a little bit of turning back. Okay. All right. So now we can go back to our notes. I just thought, hey, let's try this try and see how this works. There you go. So some word problems will include compass directions, to let you know the direction an object or a person, right, is headed. So let's go through some examples here. So north 25 degrees west. Okay. What this reads is, if you wanted to read this, you would say north 25 degrees west. It's nothing new there. And what it means, what it wants you to do is you basically start measuring from north, then turn 25 degrees towards west. That's what it's saying. So the meaning is that's what you're actually supposed to do. If you have a ruler, for the next couple of examples, you want to have a ruler next to you. Or something that allows you to make straight lines. Okay. I want to say this because it happens. If you can't spell we going sideways from left to right, if it says you got it wrong. Okay. So you got students are okay with north and south, but somehow they mix east and west up sometimes. So you got to make sure you got that right. So this particular line, and I'm going to use a red pen here for this one to actually tell me the direction that I'm headed. But before I do that, I'm just going to say, okay, read this with me. You start north, so this is your starting point. So just from the origin, just start moving along it a little bit, and then we're going to turn 25 degrees west. And so you kind of do one of these, 25 degrees west, make a little arrow, right? So, and we're going to put the 25 degrees there. And now I will switch colors. You don't have to. It should make sense regardless. But that's the direction you're headed. This is your direction of travel. So planes use it a lot, boats, ships, anything that doesn't need to worry about an obstacle, right? You kind of just travel in that direction. Do a couple more. South 15 degrees east. This really means south 15 degrees east. Start. Where are you going to start? First letter, south. Yeah, start south. Turn 15 degrees east. I'm going to make one more, not too big. You don't want to use up too much room. So we start south, just start traveling along it, and then you turn 15 degrees. Not drawn to scale, of course, but that's where the angle is. Notice that where the angle is placed, it's very important. I'm going to do one last example, and then we're going to take it up a notch. This should be okay anyways. So let's say you have, if I told you west 30 degrees south, you start where? West, yeah. And then turn 30 degrees towards the south. We're not going to talk about bearings. Like bearings is another way. Starts with 0 going north and it goes 360 degrees around. We're just going to stick with these. But if you ever need to review that, I'm sure that will make sense for whatever you need it for. If you are into competitions where you have to like wander in the forest, they usually use bearings. So north, south. Is it east, west, or west, east? It's west, east. There you go. It's we, not you, right? There you go. West, so I start traveling towards west, and then I have to turn 30 degrees south. So the 30 is turned towards the south, and there's my direction of travel, which you will soon see that will be short-lived, and then you will turn for whatever reason in a different direction. You could be going up, down, sideways, it doesn't matter. I'll add a note here. If an object or location is due east of you, right? It means that if this is you, then that other object will be east here, right? So this is the object. So it's directly horizontally next to you. I'll say horizontal. There's a horizontal line between you and that object. So if something is directly due east or due south or whatever, you got to understand that it's a direct line due east. So I'm not going to do all the other same with due west. If something is due south of you, you're right on top of that object, right? So this is a little note here. This is going to appear from time to time. It's actually your friend if that happens. now let's do a case. We're going to do a couple of cases. We're good? Cases. I would say not all can be covered. Okay, so just some cases to consider. So example, you travel north 30 degrees east, then turn and head north 50 degrees west. Sketch scenario. You're going to have to do that. Your graph is going to determine how everything else goes. So sometimes you either have a good eraser handy or you have a little bit of scrap paper, because you're only going to have so much room to graph, right? So I will just kind of say, okay, let's say you're not thinking and you're like north 30 degrees east. So I'm going to do one of these. I know I'm going to start north and then turn 30 east. I'm going to go that way. And then it says north 50 degrees west. I have a problem now, right? I'm going to run out of room. So I kind of just go like this, and I know I have to start a little lower so I don't run out of room. So you're going to have to be okay with that. Okay, I kind of know already where this is going. So I'm going to start somewhere over here. What I want you to do, you start with the first compass direction that you're getting. So draw one of these, because it's almost like that little compass rose that I told you start off with, right? So this is north, south, west, and east. So we're going to go north 30 degrees east. You start north, you turn 30, and that's the travel direction. They don't tell us for how long we're doing that. So right now it's just practicing sketching this. And at some point here, we're going to say, okay, we're stopping. And then it says we're turning in another compass direction. So you right there, you make another compass rose that followed you north, south, west, and east, right? And it's saying that we're going to go north 50 degrees west. So we start going north, we turn 50 degrees, and then we're going to travel in that direction. Okay, I hope this made sense. Did this make sense what we just did? Right? We drew out our path that we've traveled so far. Now, do you see a triangle in there at all? Sort of, right? Like somewhere between where you ended and where you started, you would probably connect and create your triangle. The problem is now the angles, okay? So, this 30 degrees, how could we transfer it over to this turning point? So start, and we turn, and this is where we end up. Okay, start, turn, end. The north and south lines here are parallel, right? I told you that. So what angle property, what name did we call the one that gets us this one here? Alternate interior, right? So make an arrow that goes into there, and you transfer that 30 onto here. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Is there a way now, because we know that the red line, right, this is going to be the triangle. Is there a way now to get this angle here? What is this here? Straight line, which is 180. Can we just subtract these two guys from 180 and then get the inside? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to leave this now. This is enough for me. I'm going to go over here and draw my triangle. Start, turn, end. So this guy right here, I'm going to show how I got that. 180 minus 30 minus 50. That is equal to, mental math, 100. You're too busy copying. I get it. I get it. So this is 100. Do you know any other angles inside that triangle? Is the 30 part of my triangle? It kind of looks like it, right? So that's always the trouble. Unless the question tells you that when you travel this way, that you end up exactly like lined up with your starting point, we're always going to assume that we're falling short or that we're shooting past. But never make the assumption that you end up right over your starting point. Never make that assumption. In fact, I will always make sure, this is actually, if I could redo it, I would have done it a bit more in a slant. But this 30 is not part of our triangle. It was part of our initial travel destination, our path. We used it to get this. And then thanks to these two, we're able to find that one, but it's not in here. We do not know that, okay? So the 30 is not necessarily in here. The only time that would have been the case is if I said, once you turn, you keep traveling until you're exactly, right, until your starting point is due south of you. Because then you would be guaranteed that the north-south line is part of your triangle. Okay, so it is not part of it. Okay, node 30 degrees is not part of the triangle. We do not, or we don't, end up due north of starting point. I want to make this really like this part. I really want that to. But if I go 30 and go X, cross it out, it might make it too messy. So I'll just leave it like that. Let's do another one. credits, right? Yeah. Example. A boat travels south 40 degrees east for 3 miles. Go ahead. Then turns north 60 degrees east for 5 miles. How far is the boat from its starting point? So we're going south. It's my scrap paper here. Just gonna quickly, I'm gonna go south 40 east, and then I'm gonna turn north 60 east. So I'm kind of doing this. Okay, so that's a good reference to have. So I'm gonna start here. So you're gonna go south 40 east. For 3 miles. Oh, did they give me miles here? Yeah, okay. More information, even better. It's saying that we're turning. Every time you get another compass direction, do one of these for yourselves. Make a point where you stop and then do one of these. Right through that point. And now we're going north, 60 east. So you start north, you turn 60. It should be a bit more than 45, like right about there. And we're going 5 miles that way. I'm going to make it longer than the other one, but I'm not lined up perfectly. Do you hear what I'm saying? I know it's it feels like Friday. It does. I do not line up with where I start. Like you know what? I prefer you shooting way past it, like way past it or less. I don't care about drawing it to scale. But we're gonna go 60 degrees. Go in here between this line. Make this very obvious that there's it's the north, south, west, east. Sorry, I had to think there for a second. Where's west again? Okay, 60 is there. It's not the whole thing. It's just this. Okay, and make a dot here. And so this is your start, turn, and end. Okay, so here's the, this is the 5 mile line here. So you always want to see, can I transfer over the angle? This line, the north-south, is parallel to the north-south here. So think of two parallel lines, and this is a transversal. So you're going to bring this over, and voila, we have 40. This is now 40. Do do I now have an angle inside the triangle that I'm going to get? Yeah, you have this, okay, which is awesome. Like it's right there. You have that. And this is because of alternate interior angles are congruent. You don't have to tell me this. I'm going to be okay with you just assuming that. Okay, so let's draw it out on the side. I'm going to kind of try to copy it. Start, turn, end. 3 miles, 5 miles, and this is now what? From end to end, it's 100, right? It just happens to be 100 again. And the question is asking me, like, if you travel here, how far are you from the starting point? So this is my unknown. Okay, so here we go. What am I going to use to solve that one? Sine law or cosine law, I'm asking. Cosine law? Scanning the room? Cosine law? Yeah? You just saying it because I'm saying it? Okay, it's cosine law. Yeah, you're right. It's SAS. You have no pair, another way of looking at it, right? So I'm going to solve for x. So x squared is equal to 3 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 3 times 5 times cosine of 100. So let's do this. 9 plus 25 minus 30 times cosine of 100. Oops. There we go. That's 39.209. Keeps going. Square root of that is 6.26. Yeah, that's better, right? The other one, like 39, is way too big. But I do want it to be the longest side because I have that obtuse angle, which guarantees me that this is going to be the longest side. So, So I hope your head isn't hurting too much after this one. Where are some compass direction questions? Because of the yeah, so I'm going to assign you trig review A. Trig review A. So there's a mix. There's only one compass direction question in there. That's page 8. Trig review A. That if you work through that by tomorrow, I know I haven't done a whole lot of like tough questions yet. This wasn't a tough question, by the way. Right? You're like, what? Just like in terms of wordiness, like it's very wordy when you do get one of those. And so you get a first try at it here. So make sure you do trig A. I will post the key. That's it for today.